hyper-scaling Kai'Sa. Griffin fans, a bit maniacal at the moment. Very excited after that Game 1 victory. And as we reset, hopefully SKT can do exactly that, because resetting your mental moving into this series, this game, is going to be extraordinarily important for our dream team. This is a squad built to win worlds. And Griffin bucking the trend there because they made no changes. They felt like they were good enough. They certainly look like it so far. So many people wishing they were at Worlds 2018. Faker taking a bit of a chunk there from Viper, getting his money's worth as he's taking a Doran's ring. Pop Smithy. This is my friend Rusty, his special on the Ardently Blazing Around on the Lucian.
This is something we see on Jhin once in a while. We've seen on other AD carries, but specifically on Jhin, it's a very interesting one where there are some AP scalings on R and the W as well. And it does mean your level 1 poke with the Ardent Blaze is very frustrating to see. Would love to pick the brain of Viper. Maybe I'll get a chance after the cast to reach out and ask him about Doran's ring start on the Lucian.
Gives you an extra potion, understandably, for that one, and you get the health alongside it, unlike you would if you went for a corrupting potion or something like that. So we'll see what Viper's able to make work here and whether he continues down the path of the AP.
Let's talk about an interesting synergy between Alistar and the Cassiopeia. Now, usually I was a big fan, and we're talking more about this in the Kesper Cup, where bot lane Cassio was running around everywhere. That's topside. Wow, Sword doing a lot of damage at level 1.
Yeah, it does have that corrupting potion running, but Khan's able to even out that matchup.
I love Cassio with a support that gives her a lot of control over the minion wave, something that can help her push, say, Karma, for example. We see her with Alistar, and that obviously doesn't help in terms of lane presence. Alistar does struggle. Probably the worst level 1 of any support that is currently played in the meta. However, Miasma and a Headbutt Pulverize is a combo that is very reliable on gauge, and there's no counterplay to it at all, basically, given that you are grounded during that impact. So the all-in threat here, if Olaf comes in and a Miasma follows him, holy crap, there's a lot of gap close and damage that goes on to the side of Viper and Lehen. So there's some very nice synergies here that haven't been explored at the pro level, with Cassio receiving permaban status for basically the entire 2019 season.
Exactly, and I wonder whether that's actually going to translate into having some lane advantages here for SKT on the bottom side of the map, because lane priority is what they've picked for the Aurelia. We've seen banned as there it is, the combo coming in from Mata, but taking a lot of damage back. And Sword gonna jump on top of Khan. So much bruising going on here at the beginning of this one. Both teams probably understanding that what they needed in the last game was a bit more aggression. And Tarzan still just going for that full clear. The jungler's pretty happy to just go camp to camp. It's another very, very deep clear of the jungle here from Clid. Takes away every one of those dots.
Nice thing is, it's a pretty big reset on draft identities, because it's not the Griffin scaling comp versus SKT with pretty narrow win condition and then mismanaging that. This time, Griffin have, obviously, a farming jungler here with the Nocturne. Some pretty strong solo lanes that are largely around the pressure on the top side, and then just how a Nocturne Galio are going to come together. They don't have the same late game scale. Yes, they have an AD carry, and the enemy doesn't, but Lucian has a mid-range combat AD carry. Is kind of similar to Cassiopeia in many ways, and where he's going to be positioned in team fights and how his damage is going to come out. So actually a lot of overlap there, and Cassio has the Baron threat that Victor didn't in game number 1 when it comes to Baron as an objective. SKT have a very real chance to start that. Bot side, though.
Yeah, speaking of starting things, Mata has to use that flash to get out of the way. Down to about 100 health as Viper flashes forward. The Ardent Blaze does about 1 billion damage, and they'll get the next stun. Teddy in trouble. The auto attack's coming in. Viper not going to follow up at first blood much earlier, 24 minutes earlier than game 1.
And Mata doesn't expect it because it was 2 points in the Ardent Blaze. He might actually be going AP Lucian. He's definitely going multiple points in the ability.
Oh, well, I mean, I've seen it work personally, but it's in a normal game on the Oceanic server, Papa Smithy. I wasn't expecting it here in the LCK, but we saw Jarvan yesterday. Maybe we're going to see more.
No points in Q on this all-in. Remember that now. It's E, 1 point, W, 2 points. Watch the damage here on the Ardent Blaze. He has 50 AP at the end. Slides in, they pop in, and that's all about just base damage, of course. And then W, double auto. That is an interesting way, and a lot of that might actually be mind games and less about it, because people always wait for the Q when they think about things like Flash and how to outplay. He actually didn't have Q skilled during that all-in.
That was the outplay, not skilling the Q. As Viper goes back, I think he actually has a point in it now. I'm not too mistaken.
He played to his item spike. He's got the Bilgewater now. Probably the normal Sea will rain, but that is a different way to pick up first blood on Lucian.
Pray for Gunblades. Pray for Hextech Gunblades, guys.
Pray for SK Telecom T1, as that's the 11th straight kill with no response, although Faker.
Yeah, level 6 has been hit here in the mid lane. That's the Justice Punch from Chovy. The Ignite goes down, though, as I wasn't expecting Faker to throw that one in there. Now going to get some lane priority, but things very even when it comes to the farm. Looking to go back home, Chovy has the teleport, and he weathered the level 6 storm that Aurelia can throw out.
Be some interesting item break points here. While I love Jason the lane phase against Victor, when Victor hits kind of 3 items, including an Iceborne Gauntlet, can take Jason the side lane in some trades. Aurelia can take Jason the side, and probably less reliably now that Disarm is removed as a mechanic, but there's always going to be outplay potential with an Aurelia. There's definitely a future where Jace feels a bit marooned and wants to start sieging and grouping rather than hitting the side lane. So it's nice to see Faker on a champion with the agency of solo kill potential, previously largely been on the Urgot duty this season, and of course we remember the Lysandra and Kesper Cup and the Galio from the last couple of years. So it's a bit of a different look for Faker. Must admit, the Corki didn't really pass the eye test. I think that was more of a composition thing, where around him the chess pieces probably didn't fit as well as SKT might have first considered.
He certainly did a lot of damage in that game, but you're right, the team fights didn't necessarily look like they were ever going to work. So far, it's not unsalvageable, and the Brambleback is now going to get pulled out. Tarzan in full vision of SKT,
level
is looking
6
to come
as well.
in. Faker's down here as well, though. Spell Shield comes down. Tarzan with the paranoia steals away his own red buff, and oh, that's an overstep. The flash out, the flash in with the taunt, double kill instantly for Chovy, and Faker is gonna burn down to the red buff. Teddy in trouble, wants to get one back, has to flash as the Ardent Blaze is so scary from Viper.
It's 5-0, they're 3,000 gold up already. Another kill in the 2v2 happens against Teddy and Mata. They're gonna get some turret plays, Lehens doesn't go down. A real big mistake from Khan, you'll see in the replay there. Cements 3 kills on the top side. We might be in silly series already.
Yep, it's feeling like it. 2 turret plates falling on the bottom side of the map. And that Chovy countdown is getting so real to hitting the 100 KDA. 201 now, so jot on an extra 3, 93
Pause
KDA.
it now. Tarzan may be level 6. There's 3 members SKT, no response. The ult comes in, no combo happens, but watch for the mistake here. Khan gets the stun down and walks back into the brush with no vision. He can't do any damage, he can't see the enemy. That means all 3 are overextended on the way out. Chovy sees a moment, gets 3 assists. That's 93 KDA, by the way, and bot lane Mata, well, the blind pick Alistair looking a bit sad.
Yeah, exactly. Lehens having to limp out of the way, but that just gives Viper all of the ability to make sure that Teddy can't step further. Oh man, things going to hell in a handbasket. As Griffin continue their push in every single lane. It is just dominance now.
Oh, he's maxing W.
It's happening. I want it to be the Gunblade. There's still the opportunity. This still could be Hybrid Lucian.
If it's 15-0, isn't it a mistake not to go the Gunblade? It's mid lane.
Yeah, I think so, as Faker's just taking way too much damage here. Tarzan going to respect him, gets himself out, but that means that Faker has to go home, and he took teleport. He's not going to be back there for a while.
Atlas, has there ever been a perfect series? I want to say no, in terms of no deaths on a team in a best of 3.
I don't know.
I've never seen one.
I've never seen it back to back.
And you and I have watched just the most games of League of Legends.
We have certainly experienced a lot of League of Legends video games. That is entirely true.
9 minutes into game number 2. Questions in the Griffin SKT series I did not expect to be asking.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of us did expect something like this, though, Papa. It's not a lot of surprise people on the internet right now, as Sword taking a lot of damage back here.
No flash.
It's Khan looking to try and get rid of that perfect series, but Sword keeps himself alive with just over 100 health.
Drake being taken at the same time. That confirms, of course, that Khan would have had no one to try to take him down. That was incomplete information to him. He had to go respectful in the build. No Hex Core upgrade. I wonder if there would have been a kill there if there was a Death Ray. But needs, of course, the armor.
Confirming that he is going to be going for the AP build on the top side of the map as well. Seeing, like you say, the Iceborne Gauntlet being a little bit out of favor the last couple of weeks here in the LCK. A lot of AP builds have been sort of everywhere. Faker still dashing around, has to prep these minions a lot more now that that Q has been nerfed. Certainly the biggest one for Aurelia players. Didn't notice the extra damage all that much, but doesn't kick in really until level 11, where the scaling is much higher on the Vanguard's edge as far as base damage.
Faker tends towards the top side. You'll notice on the minimap, all the wards placed by Griffin are bot side wards to herald a turret dive. Summon a spell down on Teddy, so it's actually so hard to lane as Cassiopeia when you have enemy Galio who has control ward vision bot side. That means if you're new to competitive play, that the Galio should be able to roam bot side pretty freely. Here's a top side.
Yeah, there's the paranoia. Gravity Field's a pretty good one, but the Terrify comes in and Tarzan just eats the Victor, and all the turret plates fall on the bottom side of the map. No teleport to come in from the Victor. Sword has his, and Teddy's going to step up, but what can he actually do here? He saves the turret for the moment, but how much has he really? Because that turret is about to go down, and all the turrets, all the plates have already been taken off.
A lot of ands every time we mention a good moment with Griffin. This happens and this other good thing happens, and that should never happen. It's all about trading sides of the map, not getting something on both sides. But
yeah, this is a cake and eat it 2 game, Papa Smithy, and that is not what any of us were expecting from this. And I thought it was going to be a 2-0 for Griffin, don't get me wrong, but I didn't know it was going to be an experience this bad for SKT.
I think we all dared to dream, Atlas. I think the correct prediction was 2-0 Griffin based on what we've seen, but based on the maximum of SKT's individual members, of course they can contend.
Absolutely.
In a best of 3. Seeing those come together in a series has been thin and fast, and not since 2015 summer, my first split with the LCK, has there been a team hilariously ahead of the pack. Griffin look on another level to Korean teams, and right now, anyone who says that Korea is looking weak overall has a viable argument. What is the counterexample apart from Griffin being so noticeably better than anyone else we have?
Well, let's see what Sandbox can do on Saturday, Papa
got the
Smithy.
best
That's
shot.
the only thing.
They
remain undefeated. And Griffin are going to be coming off a 2-0 victory, most likely against SKT. But I guess counting chickens before they've hatched is something that we shouldn't do. 12.5 minutes into this game, Rift Herald was picked up by SKT. Theoretically, not going to be getting a perfect game.
You know what the criminal thing is, Atlas?
What's that?
Again, the game is a bit different, so games look a bit more like a Fiesta now because it's harder to judge. I assume that's a visual bug. No, it wasn't. Interesting.
Yeah,
all right.
Just wandered over and checked to see
Strange
what the
questions
under
we
the
have
turret.
to ask in this current situation. But the hard thing is the games are all a bit more scruffy because you have less vision, you have to take more risks. We can actually only know regional strength all the way at Rift Rivals, which is a long way from now. We only get to send one team to MSI, so actually understanding fully how strong Korea is as a region, we can definitely have our suspicions, but...
Oh, Khan has been waiting here for a long time, but the sweeper
This
picks
could
him
be
up,
the moment.
Headbutt Pulp comes in, there's the
There's one
Chaos
kill.
Storm. They want it, but can they actually
Ignite.
find it? Lehen's ticking down.
Got it!
There's the Death Ray! No perfect series coming in for Griffin as Lehen's falls over.
Important moment for SKT. It's something after so long having nothing. Viper's top side, we know just outside of vision is the Nocturne. Toby joining as well. Are we going to go for this all-in 3v4?
Well, 13.5 minutes means that some turret plates
We're
actually
going.
go as there's the paranoia. It's on Namada Heroes. Entrance comes in for Tarzan. Had already soloed out the cow. They're looking for more. Teddy goes down. The Olaf follows instantly, and Griffin punished about as hard as you can.
And that's Griffin. The punishment is huge. 6 kill involvements now. That's 96 coming in.
Oh, man.
For the Galio, 4 more kill involvements with no death, and the first ever 100 KDA player. All Faker can do is push through mid lane. Really nice execution from Griffin.
Let's have a look at it again as Khan, pretty happy that he managed to get 1 kill, but that happiness was very fleeting.
And at the end, you just have to use summoners you hate to see. You have to flash ignite, flash E to kill the damn one person, and then suddenly you don't have a lot of tools to deal with this.
Nope. And Chovy, thankfully, managed to get a proto belt onto a couple of people in order to get those assists. It was mostly Tarzan, a sword, taking some damage underneath this turret, trying to turn it onto Faker, who dashes around and is going to secure it. Second kill for SKT in the series. Goes down to that god of the mid lane. See whether he can use that in order to push further forward. Trinity Force is going to be very close, but has to buy a stopwatch on this back.
Gonna watch the replay here. This is all about the brush count. There's a nice roam down. Didn't see the map movement here, but well played by Faker and Khan. Again, side lane on Jace is a place where Griffin's comp on paper is vulnerable, but actually now with a 7,000 gold lead. Making this game about people taking down Jace on the sideline is hard because Jace can just group, and SKT are a very mid-range team. Their wave clear is Melee or Victor and Cassio poking waves, so tricky for them to actually accentuate the potential skirmishing advantage of an Aurelia over Jace, and easy for Griffin to try to get over that hump.
Well, speaking of getting over the humps, Tarzan, as far as getting past that level 6 mark, he did it with about as much aplomb as you possibly can. Guardian Angel now completed, 3-0 and 3 on the Nocturne, and he is so scary. We saw that demonstrated already as he soloed out his target. After the Paranoia, it was Martyr, so not necessarily the most difficult to take down after the Unbreakable Will, but feels like whenever he presses R, there is a gargoyle coming down on top of him, and the kills just rain.
Yeah, Olaf, a jungler who is so supremely strong from ahead, but struggles from behind. Gone Cinderhulk again, so no redemption to help with skirmishes, but probably too late at the 16-minute mark for that to be important. We'll be working on it as a second item. Anyway, SKT have control top side, but there's no objective there, so it's control wards that really don't mean anything. How the game is currently being played, no turret for Sword to overextend for, so he can just back away.
The scary thing about having control topside is it feels like SKT have done it just to make up for the fact that their turret was taken already. 2 picked up by Griffin before that 20-minute mark. And yes, there was a charge from Shelly. That was why they put all that vision in there. She wasn't able to take down that top outer turret. And they're just continuing to struggle. And this lead is only growing bigger. 8,000 is what it's ticked to already. As yes, they've got a lot of damage and a lot of power and a lot of power picks here in this draft. With the Olaf and especially the Cassiopeia. This is nerfed Aurelia, a different one is cleared now, potentially caught out of position. Faker trying to help him. Tarzan in there with his GA.
2-level
target
lead.
They want to go for.
2-level lead for the Nocturne, and remember jungle experience is down about 25 to 30% on this patch, so coming back without actually getting some skirmishes going, going to be tricky for the Olaf. Just pings level 10, so keeping it a bit more manageable. But already, seems like you want to shirk skirmishes as Olaf versus Nocturne. That already, just on paper, sounds real bad. The Jace is grouping, like we mentioned. Galio is picking up minions in the bot lane. Victor's gone for a supremely defensive build. I don't know if I agree with going full Zhonya's. Yes, it means that Nocturne and Galio are less likely to roam to your lane, but you don't have mana sustain here. You have an E upgrade and really not much else. So this is kind of a team-fighting Victor build, and right now actually simulating a team fight when Aurelia is much more interested in hitting the side lane is going to be tricky to do. Yeah,
I feel like no one wants to simulate a team fight against Griffin. As far as those simulations are concerned, the ones that you win, that number would not be high. I wonder whether anyone can actually make a program of the Griffin team fight probability, because I imagine it would be pretty hard to have a positive win rate against it. Lahen's coming on down to check some vision. Good dodge there from Clid. Uses the Predator to get himself out of the way.
And you see why? Griffin are the team who say, yeah, we're not interested in banning Cassiopeia on the red side. So much of the value is in the flex, and right now we're just not convinced in 2 games of Teddy away from what has been SKT's most reliable weapon. They've been so good at playing around Ezreal and these other carries in the bot lane. Now he's on the Cassio, which is a bit different, and even if he's put in 50 games, let's say, which is a lot to put in terms of practice, has he put in 500 games? No, it's just not viable given that the champion is, you know, a month and a half in terms of the bot lane in stature, and you just feel like things aren't as strong. They could never get that all in. The Miasma into head got pulverized. The bot lane was ruled by the 2 points in W on the Lucian very, very early, and the shoe on the other foot is just not suiting SKT. We think of Teddy as one of those ruler last bastions of AD carry, and Viper as the Cassio player, and now they're changing skins a bit, but you really are noticing some of the differences.
They're swapping clothes, and Viper looks way better in Teddy's clothes by the looks of things. Tarzan happy to invade, and when you're a Nocturne, pre-20 minutes, happy just to stand around in your opponent's jungle, you know that it's a pretty scary game for your opposition as Viper throws out the culling just to try and soften up the minion wave and the members of SKT that are hanging around the area, and buy space for Tarzan just to ruin Clid's experience in the jungle.
SKT from behind are still able to get some map control somewhere important. Now they're sitting 20 minutes. Baron will be an objective that they are looking to repel. Baron speed decent from Griffin, so something for them to think about. Gonna watch the lane assignment here. TP up on Sword, so he's gonna go bot lane. Then you bring in Galio, and you'd love to group as a 4 with the Galio because he's one of the best people around face checks. Whenever there's a Baron Vision mission, whether it's your person going up too far and the hero's entrance to bail them out, or just you put down some wards and sweeping and channel your taunt and zone control, Galio topside is definitely the lane assignment you want. That starts now, and SKT keeping Baron control will be very tricky.
Yes. At least it is there for the moment. Tarzan going to spend his time getting this double Mountain Drake, meaning that that next Baron that you're talking about is going to be something extraordinarily difficult for SKT to contend with, because already they've got a lot of damage out of this squad. It's only going to get worse as Khan takes that one to the face. The Shock Blast really starting to hurt. Ghostblade complete. Another Serrated Dirk there on top of it. And SKT desperately wanting to try and get Teddy. This blue buff, Winds of War, might actually steal it, and it does. Just a tick of it as well. It's just adding insult to injury as Griffin.
You gotta zoom out to appreciate moves like this, right? The blue contested, Jason then. Here's the fight attempt.
Yeah, they're gonna go for it as the Ragnarok is going to save Clid for the moment, but Griffin, this is what they've done. They just used a zoning engage out of a Nocturne to take down an inner turret, secure the outer one also. And these Shock Blasts are hitting the mark, meaning that SKT need to be scared about staying around, have to go back to the fountain, and Griffin say Baron.
At 21 minutes, the only camp they control is their damn Wolf camp. There's 2 control wards on it just to get control of a Wolf camp.
Yeah, and double Mountain Drake is in here. Just to talk about SKT's vision, they do know that this is going on, but what can they damn well do about it?
Well, it's now or never you feel like, but Faker's walking up. He's the only one. Baron around 3,000.
Teddy doesn't have a lot of mana here either, as they are going to go in there. It will be a 50-50 for Clid. The knock-up comes down, though, and yep, they're just going to peel away. Sword grabs the Olaf. Okay, Teddy's found one pick on the backline, and Tarzan, relegated to the pit, does get the Baron buff. And now Viper's looking to bounce around this one. Zonya's used by Teddy. Chovy very, very low. It's a double kill coming in now, though, and Griffin do tidy up the messy fight.
Griffin played with fire there with the Baron leashed for the longest time. Someone goes down, but it's Sword. Chovy having to flash over the wall. Now 99 KDA. Watch the replay here. They are not going to 50-50 Baron. One of the few ways they could lose what has been a great game for them. But you notice that because they tanked Baron for so long, they have squishies on this lineup. It's not Sion in the front line, so Jace goes down. They have to be creative to keep it up. Smite enough. Pick up the kill. Olaf dead. So, of course, no counter smite coming from SKT. It's a tricky thing to pull off when you Baron this early, where base damage is still relevant, but Griffin largely stick the landing and get out of the fight.
Yeah, they're going to be out okay. As Chovy, like you say, 9 kill participation for this game. Very close to getting his Zonyas, making it even more difficult for him to die. And Sword does have that Dust Blade of Drakthar. This game is just getting more and more difficult, but the pace, because Griffin have a different composition, because this comp wants to get started around the mid-game, this game is way more bloody. We still hadn't had a kill in game number 1, and I feel like it is just a standard Griffin victory where they dictate the pace and you play to the beat of their drum.
And just a standard Lehens game of queuing up for the support role and buying redemption. Doesn't matter what champion he plays, he always buys redemption. While that gets comical when it's, you know, some of the picks like Elise, for example.
I mean, he was the one that died and ruined the perfect series, so maybe he wants some redemption.
But if you're always playing 4-dimensional chess where you feel like where you go, you're going to win out, why not have redemption there as well? Why not have a semi-global from the support role at kind of all moments? And we see redemptions more in Griffin games than any other games for sure. Someone's always got one. That's someone in this game.
As a support. Okay, just going to use the stopwatch as Hero's entrance does come down. Marta with the Unbreakable Will, but Basegate is going to save him for the moment. Not going to fall down just yet, but big buttons on cooldown for Griffin.
Anything you can force with how far behind SKT is a mini victory. They're behind 14,000 gold. So even just getting a big teamfight ult is actually probably a bigger win than they should, given how far behind they are. So good move there from SKT. Not going to change the threat that comes in. Jace top, 2 members in the bot lane. The turret HP bar is begging.
Yeah,
Baker's already half health. I don't know if he can really contend with the all-in onto Jace that we were kind of previewing or table setting earlier.
Yeah, doesn't quite have the ignite. Back up off cooldown. As Chovy cleans out minions. Better than a Hoover. Thankfully, Teddy does have some wave clear of his own, so the Cassiopeia going to be respected. No one's going to be diving at this point in time just yet. Griffin continue the push. 30 seconds left of this Baron, and they want to be able to break open the base, but thankfully SKT do have a lot of clear. Faker on the top side, a Demolish proc should be enough to actually get rid of this, and it is, as Chovy gets rid of the top inhibitor turret, and all of them falling at once. Tarzan going to be the next one to take down a turret. This inhibitor going to go down as well, most likely, as Faker's doing his best to try and hold on to it, but Griffin are just putting pressure on absolutely everywhere.
Bot lane mages go begging when Baron buff is there. No longer does Victor have the mindless wave clear, but they break the base in 2 spots, 1 inhibitor down. They may relent around the second inhibitor being actually completed, but all 3 turrets in 1 fell swoop.
Yep. You're the doctor asking the question of SKT as to where it hurts. They'd say everywhere.
6,000 gold power play. That is the advantage in gold, playing by Griffin over the lifetime of this Baron.
Just insane. At least some kills went in favor of SKT, but going back to our original point, that is just not what we wanted or expected from this series. It feels like SKT have been playing with a mindset that just does not work out, as Viper culls this Mountain Drake because he may as well. He's going to go back home, see whether it's Mercurial Scimitar or what he builds with that Null Magic Mantle. Goes home QSS, so it will be the Mercurials, and building it alongside a Zeal item.
Longest game win streak in LCK history as far as I know was 21. So right now, when it comes to LCK games, this will be number 10.
Yep.
For Griffin in a row. Talking about games, not matches. Match would be a best of 3. So still some records to be broken for Griffin. They are no doubt looking to become the first team ever to go 18-0 in best of 3s. The best ever LCK record was the aforementioned SKT 2015 Summer Team, 17-1, taken down by CJ in 3 games. Trick and Max, Trick of G2 fame and BBQ Oliver's last year. And Max actually played support over Madlife in that game, of course.
Yeah.
Most recently of MVP.
One of the few that Max played, actually, back then.
They actually subbed those players out after beating SKT in their undefeated season. It was really weird.
Yeah. Thankfully, Max got his time in the sun. No one will forget the quad kill on the Scion support.
Just feels like Griffin's time in the sun is only beginning, and they've still never been to an international tournament there. Trophy case is just a Kesper Cup, nothing more.
Well, the culling is going to fly in, and Mata doesn't want to use the ultimate, and Clid doesn't even want to tank. The ability of the AD carry just flying over the wall from basically safety.
They get the minions that are pushed in, they get nothing else, and Redemption just to get them healthy enough to start clearing wards, because if they don't, the Wolf Camp is double control warded earlier, and feels like that's what you have to do. TP coming in. This one's from Cassius, just for, again, enough bodies here, and they're going in on Cassius.
Yeah, immediately the trade comes down. Hero's entrance to get them in there, as there it is, crashing down, and Chovy wants to find it. Fantastic taunt, and that's the 100 KDA, but will he go down right afterwards? The answer is most likely no, as Viper is bouncing around the fight. Eventually, he does fall down, but it's all for naught as Sword dives on forward, and Faker is killed by a Duskbringer of Tarzan. Khan doing a decent amount of work there, as in he goes, kills him with a taunt, and that should be it. Griffin with an absolutely dominating 2-0 victory over SKT.
Chovy gets the full zoom, first ever player to hit 100 KDA, and with a plum, Griffin destroy SKT. New blood rises higher and higher. We've got Griffin and the rest, and no one, I mean no one, can match the pace that Griffin is setting in LCK Spring 2019.
They can't match the pace even when they're playing slowly, Papa Smithy. It feels like you are playing what Griffin want you to play, no matter which team you are, not named Sandbox. Still, they have the Sandbox challenge, but after this, I mean, is that even a challenge? Doing this to SKT was not what I was expecting out of this Griffin squad, and I was expecting a 2-0 victory for them. Just insane stuff. You mentioned